So we're talking about tips and tricks on how to perform better in Fortnite.
How can you increase your game on PlayStation or Xbox?
Yeah, so this is only for console gaming. Other than just practice itself, there are other things you can purchase that will actually give you a huge edge over your competitors. So this is the regular PS4 controller. As you can see, it's a pretty good controller.
It's pretty ergonomic. Your fingers can hit the R1, L2, those buttons. This is the standard way you would game. This is what a majority of people would use when they play games like Fortnite. It's pretty good. Once you get good, you know exactly where the buttons are. It becomes muscle memory. But how do you get better?
So there's one really big problem when you're playing FPS games and you're using this regular controller is that when you are aiming and you need to jump, you are no longer able to aim while you're jumping because you're moving your aim stick, your thumb from the aim joystick to the X to jump, and then now you're not aiming. That is a huge problem, is that you are no longer aiming 24/7, and that's a big disadvantage.
So we've received a lot of comments on previous videos that we've looked at on gaming consoles where they say just use claw, it's free. But the problem with that is it's so uncomfortable. Like, it's not natural for your fingers to be touching these buttons at the same time as here. It's just weird. So it's way better to hold your controller like this and add a modification for not very much money for the first one. Some of them you can get more expensive, but this is the most natural way to hold it.
Yeah, so we are looking at 3 mods for your controllers at 3 very different price points to see which one's most worth it.
And which one increases your game the most.
Yeah, so start off the bat, this is your basic PS4 controller. These are free when you buy your PS4, or they're $50 to upgrade. The first mod is only an additional $10.
It attaches to the standard controller.
So we've looked at this before. This is the Reflex. There it is. So this is only for $10. This is the cheapest option.
This will allow you to stay in this standard comfortable position, but allow you to touch different buttons without playing with the claw format.
And
so if I wanted to hit square, all I have to do is lift my left index finger up.
And the biggest thing is that you don't have to move your thumb from the aim joystick.
Because what you're able to do is, if your thumb's on the joystick and you want to hit X, you just press down your palm, and that does it.
Yeah, it works. It works. And then you got a bunch of other ones. You got these loops over here. So if you want to shoot, you shoot like this, or you... It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Look at that action. Look at that action.
So one thing that we should note with all of these modification or enhancements on these controllers is that there is a learning curve. So at first, this is going to be very difficult to learn. So you probably won't be doing very well at the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, you will be so much better.
Yeah, and then this over the normal controller, you do have an edge.
So square, triangle, circle, X.
Oh, look at him.
Without even lifting your finger off the
He's
joystick.
a pro. Look at him. Look at him. He already knows how to play Fortnite. He doesn't know how to play Fortnite.
Not a pro.
Never played Fortnite in his life. Doesn't even know how to hold a controller. When he first picked it up, he held it like this. Don't worry, I got this. I got this.
A little embarrassing. Not quite that bad, but still a little bit embarrassing.
It wasn't like that. But yeah, the Reflex mod for $10 over the base controller, hands down. This thing is...
Once you get good. Once you get good. Once you get used to it.
It'll take probably about, I'd say, 24 hours of game time before you're efficient at it. But it's pretty good. All right, on to the next.
What we're looking at next is made by a company that focuses on enhancing your gaming capabilities. This is the Scuf controller. What is so good about the Scuf controller is there's a few things, but one, they have an enhanced grip, which is military grade grip, which is so much better than the regular PlayStation controller grip.
It's a bit slippery.
So if you're in a heated match and your fingers start sweating, you don't have to worry.
No. If your hands get wet, we don't want to assume you're sweating. You could have spilled
water. If your hands
water.
get wet, you don't have to worry about your hands slipping off the controller or anything.
Yeah.
And the second one is
the back, these paddles. So these are remappable, so usually you have it as X and 0, jump and reload, or knife. And what that does, it allows you to jump, allows you to reload or knife without taking your thumb off of the joystick again. Now that's very important. We keep going back to that, but it is very important. And another thing too, you will see that it's raised a bit. This aim joystick, I don't know if
compared to this one,
yeah,
it's a little bit higher.
Or even to the normal, like that's a lot higher. the precision of accuracy with a longer stick is huge. I mean, you will have to get used to that. It is a bit weird when you first try it, but it'll help out so much. I mean, it's just little things like that that'll actually elevate your game above anyone else's, especially the paddles. Those are really important.
And like we said earlier, it will take some getting used to because your muscle memory will want to hit X when you want to perform that function, but you have to train yourself to hit the button down here.
I feel like that is a lot easier to get used to than having to palm press. I mean, to palm press, even when you're palm pressing, your thumb twitches a bit because you're using the same thumb to palm press, and that like makes you twitch a little bit. So that's a little problem. No, 100%. The paddles on the back lets you use your middle fingers that you wouldn't normally use.
Yeah, because when you're gaming, you're only really using 2 of your fingers on a normal controller. This adds another third finger, which will definitely help you in the long run.
Nathan, what's better than having an additional 2 paddles?
Probably more paddles?
4 paddles
4
to be
paddles.
precise. So this Scuf controller goes for around $150. You can pick it up. It's pretty good. It's the same style as the PS4 controller, but a lot of pros came from Xbox and they actually preferred the beefier Xbox controller, which is why the next Scuf controller looks the way it does. This is the top of the line Scuf controller. As you can see, it's very pretty. It's all the bells and whistles.
You're right. It does. It's kind of like a hybrid between what PS4 controller looks like and the Xbox controller looks like.
I feel like this is a more ergonomic one. When it's in your hand, it just feels nicer in your hand.
So on the back, there are 4 buttons.
Look at that. 4 paddles,
which you can program to be whatever option you want.
Normally, you would have it just as the D-pad over here. You'd have it as all of those.
So in a sense, you don't even need this.
No, you don't need that. So your thumb can
would just
stay
remain
on
on the controller
permanently, which is the most important thing. We keep going back to it, but it is most important. If you have the money, getting a Scuf controller like this, there's nothing better for console. Like, look at that. Look at that. I'm not even twitching my thumb when I click it. I can jump, I can square, I can do all these little tiny things.
And this is what most gaming professionals would use.
Yeah, all gaming professionals pretty much. If you're not using one of these, or if you're Optics Scumpy, you probably don't know who that is. He's probably the only one who plays Claw. Every single pro uses a Scuf controller. You're just at a disadvantage if you don't. All right, Nathan, on this episode of Worth It, which one do you think is most worth it? We have $10, $150, $250. Explain.
It's a tough one because, like we said earlier, I'm not a big gamer.
No, he's not.
So it's take my recommendation with a grain of salt.
Level 10, Flappy Bird. I don't know how.
I don't know what that is, but
you don't know
what? No, I didn't. No, Flappy Bird was an iPhone game. But if I had to choose a worth it between this one, I think there is a lot of room for innovation with this design, but I feel like the learning curve on this will be very high. You would just get frustrated really quickly. So for $10 to $20, $10 we said.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really worth it just for that learning curve because it would be so far. But if you stick to it and you push through the frustration and you get good, I think this would be a good option.
It will help. I mean, if you only have $10 and you need to get an edge other than getting headphones, which we talked about earlier, this is a good option.
So with this being out, just judging between these two, I would probably go with the Scuf controller with 2 buttons instead of 4.
Ooh.
Because it's just natural for my middle fingers to sit here. And if I have to constantly tell myself to move or switch between this button and this button, that could get a little bit tricky. I would much rather just have my middle fingers here and have to move my thumb to touch one of the other 2 buttons. So I would have to say this controller.
So your worth it is the middle Scuf controller.
Middle Scuf controller.
Interesting choice. I mean, it is still an amazing Scuf controller. In my opinion, if you want to compete at a higher level, like this is one of those cases where you actually need a piece of hardware to sort of get you there. And I think it's worth it to get the Scuf Pro. You don't need to move your thumb. Huge thing. Like Nathan said, he'd rather move 2 of his thumbs sometimes to click the other buttons.
My 1 thumb.
Well, you have 2 thumbs. You know you got 2 of them. But I'm saying, 100% for someone who games a lot, most worth it for me is this Scuf controller. This reflex one, if you can get this one, get it over this one. But most worth it, I'd have to say, is this one.
And most importantly, don't play claw.
Oh, I mean,
Do not play claw.
You could try.
You're gonna get arthritis if you do.
You could try. I mean, you can go over to your friend's house. They probably don't have a Scuf. You can impress them, play claw. You know, you'd be like that weird, cool friend that they don't want to play video games with because you always win. That's it. All right, so let us know in the comments below which controller you are using, or if you'd upgrade to any of these. Leave a like if you enjoyed.
And subscribe if you're new.